Hello, everybody. I'm Rosana Mello from IEPAS, and I'm here with Bex today once again to talk about English language today. That's a subject quite funny for me to talk about because when I went to New Zealand in 2009, I had no English at all. So I wonder, like, what you are thinking about it, and if you are not confident about your English. I've been there, and we're just going to talk about it and in how important it is to have a good English to be able to, I think, take advantage of your work and travel in New Zealand. So, Bex, I think this is not something that makes sense to you, right?
Well, not in New Zealand because I obviously am a Kiwi and so English is my native language. But the first time I travelled straight out of university, I went to live in Japan for 2.5 years. So I was in a country where it was not my native language. I had studied some Japanese, but I couldn't speak it. And yeah, so it was a pretty interesting time and challenging and rewarding and all of those things. So yeah, I have been in the situation that you were in,
Yeah.
and everyone
Felt
coming to
it.
New
Yes,
Zealand. Yeah, yeah.
definitely. And what do you think then? Do you think like it's necessary a good level of English to kind of enjoy and to go to New Zealand and live experience of work and travel?
I think what you just said before about having English, being able to take advantage of things. So the better that your English is, the more opportunities and advantages you will have in terms of work and things like that. But having said that, as long as you can understand some, you will be able to come and get through. You just will be doing jobs that are more entry level, more back, not having to be speaking all the time, or no one's going to make you a waiter in a really busy restaurant if you can't speak really great English, because it's a busy environment and you need to be able to, understand and converse and make things happen. But you could be washing dishes in that restaurant, or you could be clearing tables, or you could be doing seasonal work outside picking fruit. So there's definitely work and opportunities available. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through this today. So definitely do not let it stop you from coming to New Zealand. I think it is one of the most friendly and welcoming places in the world to come to if you don't speak a lot of English at all.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more because I
Yeah.
went to New Zealand with no English, and something that I believe is important to people to understand. Sometimes uh, you are able to speak already, but it's just confidence. You just need to be confident and just believe in yourself. And I saw this many times in New Zealand with people, with friends, and they knew how to communicate. And the important part is when you're thinking about getting a job is to understand instructions, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you understand what your employer needs you to do, you will be able to get a job. And I think getting a job is, I always say that, but it's like free English classes, because you're talking, you listening, and you kind of putting yourself out there and pushing it and becoming confident. So it's just a matter of getting the first job, and then everything just goes. It's like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Like with anywhere, I've traveled a lot to a lot of countries where I didn't speak their language, but as long as you have a willingness to communicate and be open, you
Yeah.
can get by and you can communicate with people across. I've had fantastic conversations, in markets and places like that where we don't speak each other's language, but we end up hugging and laughing, and it's been a great experience
Yeah,
because we
definitely.
wanted to try and communicate. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then something, Bex, that people always say is in regards to accent, because like, I don't know, New Zealand doesn't have a very good reputation in accents. They always say like, I can't understand Kiwis, or it's like Aussies and Kiwis. I don't know why. Maybe people are very used to American accent in the movies they see, and a little bit maybe of in English from England, really.
Yeah, British English.
Also, yeah, also because of the movies and stuff. But what do you think about that? Being a Kiwi in regards to accent?
Well, just to go back to when I was in Japan, I was teaching English, and I could tell straight away for students who had quite good English when I was teaching advanced classes, they would either speak English with a British or an American accent. And because that is the schools that they'd been learning from, or that was the movies they watched, and it was quite funny. And I worked with a lot of Australians and Kiwis, and so they learned to understand our accent, when we would, and I said it's really important that you understand English in all different accents, because everywhere that you go, you'll encounter somebody like who speaks fantastic English, but you do have an accent that you can tell means you aren't a New Zealander because you haven't got a New Zealand accent. But I think we do have an accent. It can vary a lot between people. I think I've got a fairly neutral New Zealand accent. I can be really Kiwi if I want to put on a New Zealand accent. But generally, there are some challenging times, and we hear that a lot from people saying, when they worked out on a farm or in smaller towns down on the South Island, and often as well if you're around a lot of, not to say this is the same of all males, but a lot of the older males talk with their mouths closed, and it's really mumbly and it's really difficult to understand what they're saying, even for me. So I have no idea how hard that would be for someone that's not a native English speaker. So there's definitely an accent. It's similar to the Australian accent, but very different for us. We find the Australian accent very different, but I think for a non-native English speaker, you're going to find it quite similar.
Yeah, I think it's quite funny because depends a lot where people go, right? Because in Auckland, I don't know, I think it's very clear. The way you speak is very clear for me. But definitely when you are traveling and going, like working a farm, for example, in South Island, where people, they have their own ways and actually their own accent as well. And
different words that they use, little colloquial local words that they use for things.
Yeah, and I think is exactly what you said. Looks like they speak with the mouth a little bit closed. And I used to say that they have two eggs. Mm-hmm. It's like trying to speak with two eggs inside the mouth. But it's nothing that you can't get used to. That's what I say, because accent is always, you need to open your ear and understand. And not only New Zealand, I'm just saying New Zealand because New Zealand is very cosmopolitan. You can find people from everywhere, every kind of accent. But like you said, when you are traveling, you also need to open your ear, because like if you go to Thailand, Vietnam, that usually people go after their work and travel in New Zealand, you need to be able to understand their English, and their English are not that great. And they have a very, very difficult accent. And then I used to say that it's good that you get used to different accents. And then once you are in New Zealand, then you learn that English is English. The only thing that changes is really the accent. So if you try a little bit harder, you will understand, and then becomes easier and easier and easier every time.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I am saying that by experience, because yeah, there was this way with me. And I remember saying that it was so good to learn English in New Zealand with so many different accents, because I can go anywhere now and I don't really struggle to understand people in different accents, because my ear is just so used to just changing, like Indian accent, speaking English, right? Chinese or any other language. So yeah, I guess people that goes on a work holiday visa to New Zealand and work with people, they will work with different nationality, and of course it will help them to kind of open their ear and understand different accents as well. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, definitely.
And how does New Zealanders deal with foreigners in terms of language? Do you think, like, do they try to understand as well? Are they patient?
I think they are generally. You'll always get places, or people who don't want to, but generally, when you are in New Zealand as a traveller, so you've come there, you'll be going around and you'll be going to places where lots of other travellers are going, and so those people working in those environments are by definition, wanting to interact with foreigners and wanting to help people see their beautiful country of New Zealand and understand and work out how to do things. So I think with anything, with orientations I've given before, and we're talking to people from different nationalities, I always have a little section where I talk about how to make things a lot easier for you in New Zealand. And that is that Kiwis love a little bit of chit chat at the beginning of a conversation. So a little bit of banter, so if you go to the bank or the post office, if you walk in and perhaps in your own culture, it might be quite a straight up, direct culture, and you just say, oh, I want to open a bank account. See, in New Zealand, that comes across as quite rude because you've just come in and said, this is what I want. Whereas in New Zealand, you come and you say, hey, how you going? Isn't it great weather today? Oh yeah, sun finally, it's wonderful. Great, what can we help you with today? Oh, I want to open a bank account. Suddenly they're willing to help, we're gonna have a great conversation. So it's those little things. Kiwis just we love to talk about the weather, so that's easy.
I was
So
going to say the weather is a very good way to start a conversation.
Yeah. So I think in general, 95 to 99% of Kiwis and New Zealanders and people in New Zealand are really willing and open and want to, are happy to try and help you, understand and so on. Yeah.
Cool. And do you believe one could improve the English during the work and travel experience?
Absolutely. And I think I've seen that sort of over all the years that I've been doing this. It's always like one of the big goals of people. And again, I've always said to people in orientations, if you're traveling with a whole lot of people from your same country, try and have a rule that you speak English. If you're living together and working together, if you just speak, if you're a group of Brazilians or if you're a group of, Argentinians or you're a group of Germans, you're all going to speak your own language all the time. So you're not going to improve your English. The same as someone traveling on their own who every day has to speak English every single part of every day. But I think you do, and you just by listening, you'll hear conversations, the radio's going, the TV's on. You're standing in a bar to buy a beer, or you're going to a sports game, you're going to hear everybody just talking, and you do. And people always, at the end of their time, say, they used to come back into the office, and it was so rewarding to hear them like chat. Remember day one?
Yeah, arrive a little bit shy, right? And like not that confident, but I think once you live in this experience as well, you need to kind of go for it, because you gotta buy stuff as well. And then if you go to a bakery, you need to ask for things. So you end up speaking and listening, and even if you don't want to, even if you're really shy, you have to do some things that nobody can do for you. And
exactly.
yeah,
And
so
it should be a goal of your working holiday. If you're coming to New Zealand and English isn't your first language, then what a fantastic opportunity to go away and be really good, really good.
and
Yeah.
like along these years, Bex, did you see many people like with different level of English? Everybody can come for the working
Yeah.
travel experience, or depends
And
on.
people have come and honestly, I've done, a 2.5, 3 hour orientation, and I reckon they maybe understood 3 or 4 minutes of what I talked about, and they didn't understand anything else. Or they just also couldn't understand the culture. And then it took them a while, but then they got it, and then 6 months later they came back into the office and it was like different people, this amazing person walking in and chat, 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 chat. And you're just like, wow, your English has improved. Then we had people come in who, had great English already, but then they really enjoyed learning the Kiwi accent and how to say really Kiwi things and that kind of stuff, so they could compare that to what they'd learned. And so there's at all different levels, really everyone, even the ones with limited, we managed to, we got them, they got jobs, they worked, they made it happen, and they had a good time, they got through.
I
Yeah.
remember seeing one girl in the office, and I saw her quite a few times because she used to be there a lot, and
Yeah.
she wasn't confident on her English at all, and she was working as a babysitter because she thought like, oh, I will be learning with kids. I thought it was
Yeah.
a great idea actually, because she said, oh, with kids I can just talk and she shouldn't feel bad, and the kids would help her. She was working and
Yeah.
earning for it, but the kids would help her with her English. And I thought it was quite clever. And she was planning to stay there for a while until she improves a little bit and then move on to something else. So
Yeah.
just, yeah, so people always find a way, right?
They do find a way. Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's really good. And
Yeah.
what means that doesn't really matter the level of English you have, right? You just can
Yeah.
come and just, yeah, find a way to improve while you are doing your experience. And can they find a job like,
Yeah. I think you just have to have the right expectations around work, because
yeah,
if you don't speak English, as I used that example right at the beginning, you're not going to get a job as a waiter or on reception at a tourism activity, or doing something that involves, you're not going to be selling tickets for the ferry, because if you can't speak the language, you can't have a conversation to get all that done. But there's jobs, housekeeping, there's jobs doing dishes or back of house in all of the hospitality venues, there's fruit picking, as long as you can understand the instructions and they're going to train you, you'll be fine. There's all the different outdoor jobs, farm work, like we'll teach you how to milk the cows, or how to drive the vehicle to go and give the hay to the animals. And and au pairing, because often particularly some families, they want their children to be exposed to someone who's not a native English speaker, so the children can learn some of that language, if it's Portuguese or German or French or
yeah,
whatever. So yeah, as long as your expectations are kind of where they should be. But that's not to say that you can do, you'll be in New Zealand for 12 months and you'll always wash dishes. It means that you wash dishes and you talk as much as you can with the guys in the kitchen, and talk with your co-workers and talk with other people and learn and learn. And 1 month later, you get a different job. And then a couple more months later, you get a different, better job, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
yeah, it's all about experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to understand that depends on the level of English,
Mm-hmm.
you can get better opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
said that at the beginning, and I think it's really, really important. And because of course, even to understand, like you said, the instructions, uh, if the job is a little bit more complicated, the instructions will be a bit harder, and what you do needs is totally different from a beginner job like washing dishes. Even for washing dishes, it was my first job in New Zealand, and my English was not that good. And I remember very well, I was washing dishes and I had to read. There was lots of health and safety instruction in the wall, and I tried to read and understand, and of course I didn't.
Yeah.
And I remember very well, the chef was just calling and asking for stuff, and he was asking for some specific uh, pans and things that he used in the kitchen, and I didn't know the name. So like it was
Yeah.
very frustrating, even doing dishes, because my English wasn't great, but it was so good. I learned so much while I was in that job. And
Yeah.
I guess it's the same for everybody. And then once you kind of learn and improve, okay, I already know everything here. And if you know what is in the menu, and in my case, I could just go and do waiting
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
be a waitress actually.
Well,
And yeah, and that was good, and that was
mhm.
a very good learning for me, and I guess for everybody that uh, wants to be confident, that's a very good way to start. It's just getting a job, any sort of
Yeah.
job, and
Yeah.
putting yourself out there and trying, because every single job there will be words that you don't know,
Mhm.
because if you're not from that universe, uh, of course they talk stuff that usually we don't talk in the day to day. You don't learn in your English course somehow,
Yeah.
because you learn the basic, to keep a conversation, right? To, I don't know, maybe to talk about the weather, but not the specific of that job or that place. Like I said, in the cafe, they had lots of different words that I didn't know. And I guess if they go to a farm, they will also have some vocabulary there that,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
just because we're not used to it, right?
Yeah. But you soon pick it up, and I think a long time ago in a job that I did, and we used to joke that the job description was whatever it takes. And I think in terms of a work and travel experience, in terms of work, depending on your level, you just need to do whatever it takes to get started, and
Yeah,
do whatever it takes and be willing to do whatever it takes, and then you'll be fine and it will work out amazingly. So, yeah.
definitely. And I think people might be thinking, oh, can I study while I'm in New Zealand? So the visa allows them to study?
Yeah, on the working holiday visa in New Zealand, you're able to study a course up to 6 months, I believe it is. So, yeah, 6 months. So, if you want to be studying anything longer or more full time than that, then you need to transfer to a student visa. But yeah, you're able to do. So, if you want to do some English language courses at the beginning of your time, and I know what a lot of people did that came in who weren't confident with their English, or they wanted to improve really quickly. They did a 3 or 4 week language course and homestay on arrival, which was great. So they're in with a family where they were speaking English every day, instead of being with their friends staying in a hostel where they go to English language school in the day and then come back and then just talk their own native language all the time. They actually had to go home and keep speaking English all the
It's a
time.
very good idea. Yeah.
And they improved so quickly, and they enjoyed it as well. They found it really rewarding, tiring but rewarding, because it's hurts your brain. It can be quite hard at the beginning.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good way to do if like people
Mm.
are not confident, because even like 4 weeks is just so intense, because you go to school every day, and then like living in a homestay, you just go home and keep talking. So it's
Yeah.
like 24/7 class somehow. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
after this time, I'm sure like everything will change, right? Just yeah,
Yeah.
getting used to everything. And also in terms of study, they can study 6 months, and I don't know, maybe if they really like New Zealand and decide to, after the work and travel, study in New Zealand as well, like uh,
Yeah. We've had some
sponsored.
people do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
but
just
they will
finish
need to apply for a different visa.
a
And
different visa. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. After the working holiday visa, just apply for a student visa, and then
Yeah.
you are allowed to study like a graduation or um,
Yeah, you
if
can do a university degree or a
yeah,
certificate, diploma,
yeah,
PhD, anything. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just to finalize, Bex,
Yeah.
would you recommend for people to like to gain confidence while they are in New Zealand, to just feel good about their English and be able to talk freely with people and go home smiling, thinking they are, ooh, my English is just great.
Well, I think you have to go in, be willing to learn and want to learn, but it's more about that wanting to communicate. But as we've said, if your English is really bad and you're not confident at all, then invest in yourself and do that English language course and homestay on arrival, because that's going to jumpstart you up to the next level. And then you'll just keep on going. So it's a great way to start. If you're not going to do that, then yeah, just making those rules if you're traveling with fellow country members from the same nationality. Make rules that you're going to speak English until 9 o'clock at night every day. After 9 o'clock you can speak whatever language you want, but up until 9 o'clock we always speak English as much as we can, and learn words off each other. Like we used to do that when I was in Japan. I learned this really great word today, and this is what it is and this is how you use it. But it's really just go in, be willing to communicate, and tell everyone. I used to tell everyone, what are you doing here? I said, I came here on a working holiday because I want to improve my Japanese, so I'm here on a working holiday because I want to improve my English. Oh, great. Well, let's chat. Why don't we go and have a coffee? People love to talk and love to converse and love to find out about what you're doing and if you love New Zealand and all those things. So yeah, you just got to be willing to communicate with people, and then it will all come naturally from that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree. I think that's, yeah, the only way. If the
Mm.
people put themselves out there and be willing to try and be willing to
Mistakes.
make a fool of themselves
Yeah.
sometimes, because
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you're just going to say a word that doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
or I don't
I
know.
said terrible things in Japan.
Yeah,
I had to laugh it off and go, oh, I'm so sorry. You
yeah.
just go, okay, well, can you teach me what I'm supposed to say so I don't make that mistake again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like be able to repeat and repeat again, because
Yeah.
sometimes people don't understand you first time, and then you try a little bit harder, and then you change something and say it again, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you will get there, but need to be open, like we always say here, open for the experience, and
Yeah.
just see it as a something fun, just something
Yeah.
fun to
Absolutely. Yeah.
do, and
Yeah.
one more challenge. uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and everything will be fine.
Great.
Okay, so I
All
think
right.
that's what we had to say about language in New Zealand. Is there anything else, Bex? Do you think that we
No,
didn't
I think
mention?
we've covered it all. Just come on over to New Zealand and try. Have a good time.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for watching again, and I see you guys next video. Thanks, Bex.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.